to part 2 of InTimeWithMusic's look at music instrument dealer vintage signs. In part 1, we covered a sign from the early 90s from the Sabian Cymbal Company. And in part 2, we're going to look at a little bit more in depth at a much older sign from the early 70s. This sign is about 50 years old, and it's been in a state of brokenness for many years, and it's not broken anymore, sort of. I'll let you know a little bit more after I turn the lights on. Slingerland Is Percussion. Wow, this bad boy has suffered. It's a very, very old sign clock, and it has quite a backstory as well. It was originally purchased by Ray Ayotte, and for those of you who are drummers and know a little bit more about drums, Ray Ayotte was the inventor and original owner of the Ayotte Custom Drum Company that went on to huge fame, endorsees like Gary Peterson from Guess Who. We had so many people come in. The era of this of the Ayotte Drum Company started in about 1983, which was post staccato. We also had the Staccato Drum Company, or Ray did, and Ray designed many famous things for drummers like the tune lock tension system, which is still very iconic today. And anyway, this sign Ray bought. He had a number of drum stores that started out to be small drum store in Vancouver, British Columbia, and ended up being moving into a location that was the largest drum store on earth, called Drums Only. And this sign hung in those stores. I'm not sure if he had it before his 2163 Kingsway store, which was the predominant store in the 1970s, but I think so. I'm guessing this sign, I haven't dated it totally, but I'm guessing it was from the very early 70s. I've only ever seen one other duplicate of this sign. It sold in 2012 at auction for $629 US. That was in 2012, which was $830 Canadian in Canadian dollars today. So I'm not quite sure what one in perfect mint condition would be worth. That sign was in awesome, beautiful condition. Now this sign was in that condition until at some point in the 80s when I was working there at Drums Only in Vancouver. One of the people involved in the company decided that we didn't want this sign anymore, and he threw it in the dumpster. And I won't name any names or anything, or even give you any idea that it might have been Ray's brother. But anyway, this sign went into the dumpster, and of course, as soon as I heard about it, I dove in after and did my best swan dive to fish this poor baby out of the dumpster. Yes, it works. It unfortunately doesn't light up. The interior light is burnt out. Well, it did work. There we go. Okay, so the motor is dirty. It needs to be cleaned. All of these, all of the hands are. Come on, baby. all of the hands are bent, right? Well, maybe the hour hand isn't bent, but the minute hand and the second hand, as you can see, are bent. It wants to work. Maybe if I just bend it a little bit, yeah. But anyway, it will work when I'm done with it, because I'm darn well, excuse me, it might be a family show here. I'm darn well restoring this sign to the best of my ability. Now, after it got thrown in the dumpster and I fished it out, which was around 1984, I later opened my own drum center, and it hung in my personal drum studio for about 20 years. So this sign has seen a lot. It's seen all of the icons in the music industry because they all passed through Drums Only. This was hanging at the front counter. I mean all of them passed through, at least the ones that were alive. And this sign was much admired. I'm going to unplug it so that I don't put any strain on the motor. And the face of the sign was in better condition when I acquired it out of the dumpster. But unfortunately, I moved and the sign was put in storage, and somehow the faceplate got cracked during the storage. I'll show you the cracks up close a little bit. I think you'll be able to see them even in the studio lighting here. But there is a Zorro crack all the way up here, which extends all the way to the S. There's a crack from the D all the way up here to the 11 o'clock circle. So I have to pull the sign apart, clean it all out inside, replace whatever illumination has gone. But I will be cleaning this. I'll do a test to make sure that methylene chloride isn't going to or is going to be compatible. And how that will work is I will take this sign from the front. I'll flip it over, and I'll apply the methylene chloride from the back. This is what I did with the Sabian sign that you've already seen. And hopefully I can fuse these pieces back together. Now there's a piece missing here, and I really hope it's inside the sign. I don't think it is because I don't hear any rattle, but it might be in there. It could be stuck in between two pieces. But if it's not there, then what I have to do is I have to take some clear epoxy and tint it. And I've had a lot of experience tinting, so I'm going to tint it as best I can, which is going to be tricky because I've got this red piece and this ivory colored piece here. But it's going to be what it's going to be. Now, on the back of the sign, I'll show you the back. The original labels are still there. And what it says is to service this Venus model clock or sign. So there's an indication right there on its age. The Venus model clock and signs are going to have a date somewhere. Now on the label about servicing, at the bottom it says Form 1S-1-71. And I'm pretty sure that 71 means 1971, which would probably be on the money for my estimation on the age of the sign. This is a union label. Sign was obviously made for Slingerland in the United States, and it says on the union label, it says International Association of Sheet Metal Workers, and there's a number here, which will also help me date this sign. Right down to the wood panels. You know, you could just remember those station wagons, right, that had the fake wood on the outside. And the 6 kids would be in the back of the station wagon. And Mom and Dad would be in the front on holidays. Slingerland Is Percussion. Isn't that amazing?